Shades of Retribution by Chandra Adams. Book 1, Trouble Brewing. Chapter 1, You Better Believe It's On Now. It's crazy how passion can drive you to do things you never thought you could, Mina thought to herself, gazing out of the window. Although several years have passed, she thought of it all like she was still involved, as if, after she laid Simone down to sleep, she would drive to one of the regular meetings. She glanced over at the girl, fast asleep in her tiny bed. Justin would be home soon, and she needed to shower and dress before the babysitter arrived. Before she could make it up the entire staircase, the doorbell rang. She returned downstairs, and as she reached the bottom and extended her hand to the doorknob, she could feel herself slightly out of breath. "You used to run like a track star. Look at you now, ready to have a heart attack," the overbearing voice inside her head chided. Blocking it out, she opened the door to the teenage girl who watched her child on occasion. "Natasha, you're here already." "Hi, Mrs. Waters. Sorry I'm so early. My mom dropped me off on the way to her city planning meeting." "That's fine. I just need to prepare for my date. Justin is taking me to dinner and a movie, and I don't want to keep him waiting." "Make yourself at home. There's food in the refrigerator." "Simone just went to sleep, so you'll have some peace and quiet." Without waiting for an answer, she took the stairs 2 at a time, just to let the smart-ass voice in her head know she could still hang. The moment she disrobed and stepped into the shower, the phone rang. The caller could be Justin, she thought, as she reluctantly slipped across the tile, attempting to contact her as he often did when even 5 minutes late. "Yes." "Mina." "Yes, who's calling?" Silence. "Can you meet me tomorrow afternoon? I can't tell you anything right now." "Who is this?" She knew. "Meet me on campus at the coffee shop." Mina released a painfully long sigh. "I'll see you at 1. Dial tone. Now, she could have said goodbye. Shit. Want to drag me all the way out to Berkeley for some coffee. I think I need to make this the last time this happens." Mina made every attempt to put the brief conversation out of her head as she threw her towel on the floor and returned to the streaming water, but the thought of the woman's troubled voice caused her hair to stand on the back of her neck. Her head began to ache, and Mina decided right then and there to make reservations in an Oakland motel. She would tell Justin that an unexpected business trip required her attention, and take care of this whiny, pathetic character she wished she had never met. "Oh, Justin should be here any minute, and he'll know something's up." She could tell him anything to justify her current mood, and he would give her the space she needed to work it out. Some things Justin truly didn't need to know. To buy herself additional time in the sanctuary of the bathroom, she poured a handful of shampoo into her hand and scrubbed her scalp, as if to rid herself of the irritating voice from the telephone. It seemed to work as she started looking forward to watching a movie with her husband. The couple went out on dates regularly, particularly to view action movies. Jackie Chan and Jet Li were 2 of her favorites, while Justin still held old Bruce Lee flicks in the highest regard. He collected action movies as a hobby, and Mina actually practiced martial arts. Watching the action on the big screen reminded her fondly of her training. Kenya slammed the phone down as hard as she could and added yet another small crack to the phone base, then grabbed her kitten, who began to relieve himself out of fear. "Mina still acts like she doesn't know who I am when I call. Well, it's time for some things to change around here for real. I can't wait to stick it to her tomorrow. We'll be in public, so I should be safe." She dropped the small animal immediately onto the carpet. Part of her feared Mina deeply, but an even larger portion of her psyche wanted to control, dominate, and seek revenge. Kenya stared back at herself through the dusty mirror in her dim bedroom as she removed her soiled shirt. The reflection stared back at her with too much sadness for her to keep looking, so she turned away. The anger quickly resurfaced as she wondered how everything turned out so right for Mina, while she found herself as lonely and confused as the day they met in class. For all appearances, Kenya was a beautiful woman. The dreadlocks she had lovingly grown since college were long and thick, like black ropes, evidence of how well she cared for herself physically. She wasn't a tall woman, but slender and toned enough to appear so. Kenya held her head high, almost too high, wherever she went, and drew the attention of virtually every man with her slanted eyes and medium brown skin. Most of the sane and well-adjusted brothers that became attracted to her beauty knew to look but not get too close. Each one could sense that something wasn't quite clicking as she chattered away aimlessly from one subject to another in their company, or remained perfectly silent at all the wrong times. Kenya's alternating melancholy and hostility arrived long before she did on most days in the form of a bad attitude that caught almost all that encountered it by surprise with its intensity. Even potential stalkers decided that tangling with her could become more trouble than it was worth, and disappeared into thin air after spending the night once or twice. She dismissed them all as being no good, but it came down to the simple fact that, despite all her intentions, she was too needy for even the neediest man. If we do it right this time, I can get everything I need in my life. Finally. Kenya said to the kitty, who maintained a healthy distance in a dusty corner of the kitchen as Kenya flopped down onto her couch. She recalled what worked in their initial plan 10 years ago and assessed how things would need to change with her taking charge this time. She finally rose as she felt frustration mounting, stretched and sauntered to the refrigerator and pulled out tofu, eggplant, and rice to prepare for dinner. Kenya finished her meal, watched reruns in bed, and lazily slipped under the covers. Instead of sleep, her thoughts kept her awake. Her life was about to undergo metamorphosis. She could feel it, yet the risk involved made her extremely uneasy. She was putting a great deal at stake to get what she wanted, but sensed that it was critical in order to secure the love, a family of her own, and children she always wanted. It seemed after all those years that it would have just happened, should have been easy. Kenya had the looks, the education, the financial stability, but what she desired most seemed to be the most out of reach. This was the last year that she would be alone, she decided. As she drifted off to sleep, she saw an image of Mina with her back turned, walking away. Kenya awoke feeling disturbed at about 2:30 a.m., and decided to call in sick, knowing that sleep would elude her for the rest of the night. She stumbled to the living room and poured a tall glass of vodka, eventually abandoning the glass for the bottle, which she chugged down to drown her anxiety. A couple of hours later, she regretted drinking so heavily and spent a few unwelcome minutes in the bathroom paying for it. She forced some cereal down, dozed for several hours, and jumped up in a frenzy when she realized she was scheduled to meet Mina in only an hour's time. Kenya peered into the bathroom mirror and stared back at what looked like a used-up crack whore. She crumbled up on the bathroom floor and released several long, pitiful sobs. Her stomach lurched, and she had only enough time to land a belly full of smelly cereal into the toilet bowl. "You idiot. You know if you show up looking like yesterday's trash, Mina's going to take one look straight down her nose at you and walk away. Pull it together, sister. It's time to go." The lukewarm shower only made her woozy, but she pulled on the clothes left on the chair next to the bed, applied lipstick, and grabbed her car keys. The morning sun made her believe momentarily that she was a vampire, as the rays shot straight through her skull and burned a hole into the pit of her stomach. "You really, really are a mess." She tried for what seemed like an hour to unlock the car door. Once inside, she laid her head on the steering wheel to steady herself and searched in the glove compartment for breath mints in case Oakland police stopped her and smelled her rotten vodka and cereal breath. Somehow, after a long while, she made it to Telegraph Avenue and took the right lane all the way to campus.